Matatag Curriculum, PE and Health, Grade 4, Quarter 1, Lessons 3 to 6, Current Health Status and Body Awareness. Hello kids! How are you today? Are you ready to learn things about PE and health? Then, let's start. Our topic is about skin, hair, and nails. This is Teacher Aika, your online teacher. Let's go! Learning competency, relate current health status to body awareness. Here are the objectives. Discuss personal health issues and concerns. Second, measure the current health status of your own body and realize the importance of valuing one's health. Let us talk about first the skin. The integumentary system includes the skin, hair, and nails. The skin is an organ that performs a variety of essential functions, such as protecting the body from invasion by microorganisms, chemicals, and other environmental factors, preventing dehydration, acting as a sensory organ, modulating body temperature and electrolyte balance, and synthesizing vitamin D. The skin is made of multiple layers of cells and tissues, which are held to underlying structures by connective tissue. The skin is composed of two main layers, the uppermost thin layer called the epidermis, made of closely packed epithelial cells, and the inner thick layer called the dermis, that houses the blood vessels, hair follicles, sweat glands, and nerve fibers. Beneath the dermis lies the hypodermis that contains connective tissue and adipose tissue, or the stored fat, to connect the skin to the underlying bones and muscles. The skin acts as a sense organ because the epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis contain specialized sensory nerve structures that detect touch, surface temperature, and pain. The color of skin is created by pigments, including melanin, carotene, and hemoglobin. Melanin is produced by cells called melanocytes that are scattered throughout the epidermis. When there is an irregular accumulation of melanocytes in the skin, freckles appears. Dark-skinned individuals produce more melanin than those with pale skin. Exposure to the UV rays of the sun or a tanning bed causes additional melanin to be manufactured and built up, resulting in the darkening of the skin referred to as a tan. Increased melanin accumulation protects the DNA of epidermal cells from UV ray damage, but it requires about 10 days after initial sun exposure for melanin synthesis to peak. This is why pale-skinned individuals often suffer sunburns during initial exposure to the sun. Darker-skinned individuals can also get sunburns, but they are more protected from their existing melanin than pale-skinned individuals. much sun exposure can eventually lead to wrinkling due to the destruction of the cellular structure of the skin, and in severe cases, can cause DNA damage resulting in skin cancer. Moles are larger masses of melanocytes, and although most are benign, they should be monitored for changes that indicate the presence of skin cancer. Patients are encouraged to use the ABCDE mnemonic to watch for signs of early stage melanoma developing in moles. Consult a healthcare provider if you find these signs of melanoma when assessing a patient's skin. ABCDE stands for A for asymmetrical. The sides of the moles are not symmetrical. B for borders. The edges of the mole are irregular in shape. C for color. The color of the mole has various shades of brown or black. D for diameter. The mole is larger than 6 mm or 0.24 inches. E for evolving. The shape of the mole has changed. Now let's talk about the hair. Hair is made of dead, keratinized cells that originate in the hair follicle in the dermis. For these reasons, there is no sensation in hair. Hair serves as a variety of functions, including protection, sensory input, thermoregulation, and communication. For example, hair on the head protects the scalp from the sun. Hair in the nose, ears, and around the eyes or eyelashes defends the body by trapping any dust particles that may contain allergens and microbes. Hair of the eyebrows prevents sweat and other particles from dripping into the eyes. Hair also has a sensory function due to sensory innervation by a hair root plexus surrounding the base of each hair follicle. Hair is extremely sensitive to air movement or other disturbances in the environment, even more so than the skin surface. This feature is also useful for the detection of the presence of insects or other potentially damaging substances on the skin surface. Each hair root is also connected to a smooth muscle called the arrector pili that contracts in the response to nerve signals from the sympathetic nervous system, making the external hair shaft or stand up. This movement is commonly referred to as goosebumps. The primary purpose for this movement is to trap a layer of air to add insulation. Let's have the nails. The nail bed is a specialized structure of the epidermis that is found at the tips of our fingers and toes. The nail body is formed on the nail bed and protects the tips of our finger and toes, as they experience mechanical stress while being used. In addition, the nail body forms a back support for picking up small objects with the fingers. Sweat glands. When the body becomes warm, Sweat glands produce sweat to cool the body. There are two types of sweat glands that secrete slightly different products. An eccrine sweat gland produces hypotonic sweat for thermoregulation. These glands are found all over the skin's surface but are especially abundant on the palms of the hand, the soles of the feet, and the forehead. They are called glands lying deep in the dermis, with the duct rising up to a pore on the skin surface where the sweat is released. This type of sweat is composed mostly of water and some salt. Antibodies, traces of metabolic waste, and dermicidin, an antimicrobial peptide. Eccrine glands are a primary component of thermoregulation and help to maintain homeostasis. Apocrine sweat glands are mostly found in hair follicles, in densely hairy areas, such as the armpits and genital regions. In addition to secreting water and salt, apocrine sweat includes organic compounds that make the sweat thicker and subject to bacterial decomposition and subsequent odor. The release of this sweat is controlled by the nervous system and hormones and plays a role in the human pheromone response. Most commercial antiperspirants use an aluminum-based compound as their primary active ingredient to stop sweat. When the antiperspirant enters the sweat gland duct, the aluminum-based compounds form a physical block in the duct, which prevents sweat from coming out of the pore. And that wraps up today's lesson. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for tuning in and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you!